Hello YouTube! So today I have a really exciting video. I'm very thrilled to be able to share it with you finally. We made a bioactive chameleon enclosure for this little guy. He's 4 months old. He does not like my dog. He just wants to go home. Oh my god, he's going down my back. Can you not, please? Anyway, he gets quite freaked out if I move him around. Anyway, this is our 4-month-old panther chameleon. We actually have not named him yet. So we made a bioactive terrarium, as you can see behind me. It took us a few weeks. I'll keep him for a bit because he's not a fan. I haven't given him breakfast, so he's probably like, what the heck's going on? He's not gotten his colors in yet. He's a Simbaba panther chameleon, so he's a little bit more orange, and he'll get his colors in a few months, so we still got some time to go. So for this tank we used, as you can see behind me, we used an Exoterra. It was 3 feet by 3 feet by 18 inches deep. And I know I'll probably be getting some comments about why are you choosing glass instead of screen. We actually have our own reasons for that. We did a lot of research, we went back and forth, but we live up here in Canada, and during the winters especially it gets really dry. And we actually have a cherry-headed tortoise that we have issues keeping humidity for her up. So we decided to use a tank, glass tank, because it's a lot easier to control their climate. They're an extremely delicate species, and we really didn't want to screw it up. Our tank has obviously a screen top, and right here there's some vents that we opened up. And during the day, as you can see, we actually keep both of these glass doors open when we're home. He's actually fine with this. So most of our build was actually inspired by the YouTuber Mike Tatula and someone else that I can't remember, I'm sorry. What we did is we started with foaming the background using Great Stuff, Pond and Stone. We used this one because the Pond and Stone is meant for, you know, koi ponds and stuff, and so it's not harmful for live animals and plants. So that's the one that we used for our terrarium. It takes about 12 to 24 hours to fully dry, so we would do one wall and then leave it for a day, and then do the other wall and leave it, and the other one and leave it. So if you do this, just make sure you wear some plastic gloves, because if it gets on your skin, it's really hard to get off. So the next part's actually quite tedious. You can see that it has a shiny finish to it, and the silicone will not stick to that shiny finish. So what you have to do is kind of carve out every part you want to stick your substrate to. So this took us probably an hour with 2 people. It's very tedious. Alright, so the type of silicone that we used was silicone number 1. It is non-toxic, unlike a few other types of silicone that there is, so just make sure that you get the one that's non-toxic to animals. So what we do is we'd spread the silicone all over the background, and then we would pat peat moss on it, and that would be our background. Next was adding the bottom of our bioactive terrarium. We need some type of drainage, so we used the hydroponic clay balls. We did about 3 inches of that just to make sure we have tons of drainage. And then we bought this tube with a cap just in case the water did build up, and we have a water pump to get it out. So next we got some landscaping fabric to separate the soil and the hydroponic balls. Landscaping fabric is supposed to allow water through. Ours, for some reason, did not. So we did the water test, the water just sat there. We ended up having to cut slits in the landscaping fabric for the water to go through, but whatever. Next we added our soil mixture. We kind of did 1-to-1 with everything except the sand. So we used potting soil with no extra fertilizers in it, a Sphagnum Moss mix, and we also added a bit of sand. The sand is mostly just for drainage as well. Of course, it can cause impaction if digested, so we made sure not to put too much. And so now we're working on planting. So we got dozens of chameleon-safe plants. Really excited. This is kind of the fun part of creating a terrarium. So when you use live plants for a terrarium, you can't really trust where the soil comes from, so we repotted all of them, or re-soiled them, I guess. And so what we did is we would take the plant out of the pot, we would shake as much soil off as we could that it came with, and try to preserve as much of the roots as possible. Then we rinse them off. You have to make sure you rinse the leaves really well in case there's pesticides. Hopefully there's not, but rinse them really well, and then you can plant them. So we used things like the Wandering Jew, pothos, vein plant, air plant. As you can probably see in some of the later videos or footage of the terrarium, we did have some plants starting to die over time. We're not quite sure why. We found the ones that were in the hanging wall little caverns that we carved that had drainage did not like that, and so it's kind of just a learning experience. We're probably just going to replant them. We actually already replanted the one that's hanging in the pot. It was a goldfish plant. It really hated being there, and so then we replaced it with a heart pothos. After planting these plants, we decided to use Arbutus for our branches. We scrubbed them really well with bleach, let them sit there for half an hour, and then we rinsed them and dried them. So from there we just stuck them in the terrarium, and then we also bought a vine from, I think it was Zoo Med, and we just added that for some extra texture for him to hold on to. And so finally, for the bioactive, we added our invertebrates. We have some pretty crappy footage of this, so sorry, but what we added were some springtails and some white isopods. Well, they were white dwarf isopods. And then we put some dried Arbutus leaves that we baked for just some cover for them as well. For lighting for our terrarium, I ordered an Arcadia 39 watt T5 D3 plus 6% UVB light. And it's a 3 feet wide, so it covers the whole top of the terrarium. This was put in a sunblaster hood. We just took the bulb that was in the sunblaster and exchanged it for the Arcadia. And then for his basking, we used a 100 watt basking daylight bulb. And for our misting system, we used a Thrive. Well, the brand is called Thrive. We just got it from PetSmart. And we set it to go off every 3 hours at night. So it goes off 3 times a night. And then finally, we have a humidifier that goes off in the wee hours of the morning, so from like 1 to 5-ish, because their humidity for a panther chameleon is supposed to be around 100% at night and around 50% during the day. So that's about it for how we built our bioactive terrarium from start to finish. I do recommend that after you have it all set up, especially with the silicone, just make sure you air it out for like at least a week before you put an animal in there, because the silicone is so smelly. It's just like pungent vinegar. So just make sure it has lots of airflow and time to settle before you put an animal in there. He's been in there for about a week. He's really enjoying it. He's just in his basking spot. You probably can't see him. Oh yeah, we have a bromeliad. It's very bright and beautiful, one of our favorites. And an orchid that's actually doing quite well under the basking light, which I am quite thrilled about. Yeah, if you have any questions, please just comment below and I'll be sure to try and answer them. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration on starting your own bioactive terrarium. Thanks for watching. Bye.